truly, like, if you have a passion and you're super passionate about it, excuse me, and you believe in yourself, don't allow anyone to ever minimize or diminish what you're trying to accomplish and what your overall goal is. Because even though that partnership may end, your passion and your drive, you will find your way. You will find yourself along the way. Because it took me 5 years to get to the point of just filming a documentary. But there will be so many people along the way that will doubt you, that will probably laugh at you, that will say, hey, you know what you're currently doing is making you money. Why aren't you happy? But if you truly believe in yourself and truly believe in what you're doing, don't allow anyone to take that away from you, and just always keep going and push through that.
Hey everyone, this is Devin Miller here with another episode of The Inventive Journey. I'm your host, Devin Miller, the serial entrepreneur that's grown several startups into 7- and 8-figure businesses, as well as the founder and CEO of Miller IP Law, where we help startups and small businesses with their patents and trademarks. If you ever need help with yours, just go to strategymeeting.com, and we're always here to help. Now, today we have another great guest on the podcast, Brittany Daniels. Give you a quick introduction to Brittany. So, was raised in a divorced home, in her own words, and was raised in two different worlds. So, saw both sides, or two different worlds, and got that as an initial education. Well, I went to college in Jacksonville, Florida, and got a degree in business with a focus on international business, and then started in regulatory compliance with Deutsche Bank. Wasn't her passion. So after about 2.5 years in investment banking, started develop her own exit, and then applied for, applied for about 3.5 years, had a ton of rejections, but wanted to go work for Accenture. Then decided to get into, or talked with, I think, a friend, and you correct me wrong, and got into consulting there. Still wasn't her passion, so moved to New York about 5 years ago, when was getting into a production company as a side hustle, and then decided to start to make that side hustle more of a full-time gig. And with that much as an introduction, welcome on the podcast, Brittany.
Hi, thanks for introducing me. That was a great introduction, Devin.
Absolutely. So now I gave kind of the short version of the shortened version of your whole journey, but take us back a bit in time, kind of growing up and then going to college, and how your journey got started from there.
Yeah, well, as you mentioned, I grew up in the South, so Jacksonville, Florida. Most people don't consider Florida the South. Well, but where I grew up in Jacksonville, it's more like Southern Georgia. Yeah, so I grew up in Jacksonville, was raised by two moms, two from totally different socioeconomic backgrounds. One mother had 9 kids, the other mother had 0, so I was her child. So yeah, I grew up there. It was a bit of an interesting upbringing, because I was always paralleled between two totally different worlds. So ended up, I guess I can fast forward through graduating from high school, where I was sort of thinking about, okay, where do I want to go to college, and landed on a community college initially, and then went to a 4-year university after that. Landed on business, didn't really know exactly what I wanted to study in school. So just kind of had to figure all of that out. Landed on business management after a few years in school. International business became sort of my focus. Studied in France for a bit during that time, came back to the US and decided that I should probably focus on graduating and getting a job. So after graduating from college, I graduated from UNF, University of North Florida. So after graduating from UNF, I started working at Deutsche Bank. And as you also mentioned, it was cool initially. You know, your first job out of college, you're excited. You have all these great promises and ambitions. And so after being there for a few years, I did realize that, A, being in Jacksonville wasn't my passion. And then B, being in the role that I was currently in, I realized it did not have any sort of forward progress. So I started to prepare for my exit, and I thought, okay, well, I want to be in New York, big city, better opportunities. So just every single day I would spend about 3 to 4 hours after work, before work, just applying for jobs, tons of interviews, tons of rejections. And that lasted for about 3.5 years until I landed the role at Accenture.
So now, one question I do have on that,
Okay.
that's a long time to slog through lots of interviews, lots of rejections, lots of, submitting resumes and everything else. So when you're going through that and you're saying, okay, I'm going to plan my exit, going to start working in that direction, and you take those 3.5 years to go through that. As you're going through that, was it no job offers? Was it just job offers and, hey, these aren't ones I'm excited about, or kind of, that's a good amount of time. Either you have a really good grit about the rejections, or you was just curious kind of, how that 3 years went when you're spending a lot of time trying to find that dream job. If it was couldn't quite find the right one, didn't match, never got the right offer, kind of how did that work out?
Well, yeah, I mean, it was a little bit of both, right? So there were a few offers on the table, but it's just it didn't seem right. Maybe I think the first year and a half, I had several rejections, but the offers that I received was more aligned with my background and what I was currently doing. And I think what made it more difficult for me is because I was trying to totally transition from doing sort of back office work to go into like consulting and working with clients. And you had people who went to like Cornell and all of these great business schools. And here I am with my UNF education. So it was very difficult. So a lot of those were rejections. And it was a lot of hard times because I had to reassess, well, is this something that, is this for me? Do I keep going? And, that small voice in my head always, led me to, keep trying, because I knew that there was something greater for me out there.
Cool. And I give you absolute props. That's a good long time to have to deal with rejection, but saying, hey, it's going to work out. I'm going to find out what I love, and I'm going to keep with it until I find it. So now you do get, you slog through that, get lots of rejections, keep it with it, and finally get, the job. And I think you said it was Accenture, and you did that for a period of time. But if I remember right, and you can correct me if I'm wrong, even after all of that, you still found that wasn't necessarily your passion. Is that right?
Yeah, actually, interesting enough, I'm still with Accenture.
Okay.
So I've been at Accenture for 5 years. So it was a transition period, right? So once I got the job, within the first 3 months that I was in New York, just a little background, I moved here alone. I didn't have any family, any friends, moved in with a roommate on the Upper East Side. Total stranger, new job, new career, didn't have any sort of support system around me. And, I did start feeling like, oh my gosh, I'm lost. I thought this would make me happy. I thought I was on on this path to solidifying my career and just, up from there. But, like you said, I wasn't happy. And so, my mom from Jacksonville would try to be encouraging. They're like, maybe it's just you feeling homesick. And, and it wasn't that. I just realized even after all that, there was something more. There was something else that was missing. And so one day it was a Saturday morning, I decided to go out and search for furniture. I was like, maybe if I make this place a little more homey, because my roommate, she actually didn't really care about making the place, look nice at all. So I was like, maybe if I made it homey, I'll love it. I'll start feeling better. And I ran into this guy there who was actually a producer. And I just started chatting with him about, some of the things that I had been doing in my spare time that I never really shared with anyone. And that was just these thoughts and these show ideas and these movie ideas. And that's when he really kind of opened my eyes to, what my true passion is and what I'm currently working on right now.
So now one question, just backing up into the story is, so you went to the first job in New York, and, it's always exciting and fun out of college initially to, any of the first jobs, it's always kind of, an exciting time. And then you decide, okay, that's not quite my passion, quite what I'm excited about, or what, drives me throughout the day. And so you go to Accenture, and Accenture sounds like it was a better situation. You're still there and still are getting a good income. But you're also saying it's not quite what I want, or my passion, or what I want to do, or at least to have that drive and to kind of have that thing. So, how did you go about figuring out that that wasn't what you're passionate about? Is it more just, hey, it's not fun to get up in the morning, or is it, especially the first job, because at Deutsche Bank, it's a big bank, it sounds like a good opportunity. What was it? Was it, colleagues weren't the right, it wasn't the right circumstance, it wasn't the right, job, or kind of how did you go about recognizing that that wasn't your passion and then deciding how to get to work to where you did find your passion?
I think for me, it wasn't the colleague situation because everybody around me were, they were all very encouraging. They were great people. It was, I guess this feeling of, when I showed up to work, I wasn't excited about it. I was just like, oh my gosh, I'm kind of like going through the motions. This doesn't necessarily make me happy. And just that feeling of, you know what, there's still something more, there's still something more. So all of those feelings that I had when I was at Deutsche Bank all came rushing back within those first 3 months. It's just like, this is great. The pay is amazing. The people are great, but still doesn't bring me joy. I'm still not happy at the end of the day. I'm still not happy showing up at work. But that conversation with that guy, in the furniture store, and me writing my first screenplay, I realized how excited I was to go back home every day just to work on it. And no matter how late I had to stay up till 1, 2, 3 o'clock in the morning, losing sleep. That's when I realized that that was my true passion and my true love, that, doing something that, you don't mind losing sleep over, that brings you that happiness and that internal joy.
So no, and it definitely makes sense. And, it sounds like it, took a little while to wind through the journey to figure out what you're excited about, and really, those staying up late at night and are tired in the morning, but still, definitely worth it and makes it fun. So now that you find out what you really want to, focus your time and effort on, and you start to go down that route, has it been one that has just been, from a business perspective, it's been successful, or saying, hey, I'm not in it for the money, I'm doing the film because it's a passion project? Or how has that gone? Has it been, great opportunity and it's just continuing to build? Has it been one that's hard or difficult, or kind of how has it been once you identified what your passion is?
So once I identified what my passion was, so it was a bit of a mixed bag, because even with Accenture, me expressing what they were really helpful, after I expressed to them what my passion was, just trying to put me on more creative projects, more being able to express myself in that form. So that has been great in that sense. And then on the other hand, with my passion, it's interesting because the more I started working at it, refining my skills, the more people entered my life in New York. I would wake up every Saturday morning and spend all day at the cafe writing. And I met, several producers and writers who, really see a talent in me. And I would say long-term, this is definitely something that I would want to make as my longer-term career. I love working on documentaries. I love screenwriting. So this current documentary that I'm working on right now, we're hoping to circulate it in the film festival, to hit the film festival circuit, and hope that, we can at least get some traction. So overall, being a filmmaker, that is I would say that is my overall goal and my dream. And hopefully that income can replace my current one.
Fair enough. So now with that is, so now you've been working on the film, and I think we talked about, you're also looking at maybe doing a TV series or documentary in addition to the film. If people are wanting to check it out or get more details, kind of give us an idea, when is that, coming to pass? When is the film going to go live? Is it all shot and you're editing, or you're still shooting, or you're still getting the concept, or kind of
Okay.
where's the film at in the process?
Yeah, so we're supposed to do a launch campaign last year. Actually, it was going to start in March, right when they shut down the whole country or the whole world shut down. And we were going to begin filming at the end of last summer. So that sort of pushed us through the beginning of this year, where we started crowdfunding and raising money to get the team actually to Jacksonville. That's where we're actually filming. So we've raised a lot of money. We're still raising money. And we begin filming July 21st. So the team is set to start to fly down to Jacksonville July 21st, and we'll be there for a few weeks. So right now we're still crowdfunding, but we're also moving forward with filming. So that's where we are currently.
Well, sounds like an exciting time and lots of opportunity to continue to chase the passion and the dream. So that kind of
Absolutely.
brings us a bit to where you're at today and a bit kind of where you're headed and where things are at. So with that, it's a good time to transition to. I always ask two questions at the end of each podcast, so we'll jump to those now. So the first question I always ask is, along your journey, what was the worst business decision you ever made, and what did you learn from it?
I would say one of the worst business decisions I've ever made. Um, it was one of my. It was going into this deal with a guy, and kind of showing him all of my, I guess, my creative work, and showing him the blueprint to everything that I wanted to do. And I felt as though I was used in that sense, being naive, thinking everybody just wanted to help, and they were truly passionate the way I was. And I believe that a lot of my ideas were stolen because of that. So I think that was a really bad decision that I made, because I had a lot of cool things that I was working on, which is another reason why I had to refocus. But yeah, I would say that was a bad decision.
No, but I think it's an easier one to make than maybe it sounds like, in the front end, in the sense that a lot of times I think as you're going into being an entrepreneur, doing things or doing a passion project, or doing a side hustle to start out with, you always think everybody will work as hard as you will. They're all in it together, and then you quickly come to find out that oftentimes everybody isn't quite at the same level of dedication, or they don't have all the same bandwidth or the same resources or any number of things, such that sometimes where you go into it, you'll have to learn that lesson, that there's everybody at varying degrees and what they're willing to contribute and what willing to do, and how that works out. So I think it's a great lesson to learn from. So the second question I always ask is, if you're talking to somebody that's just getting into a startup or a small business, what would be the one piece of advice you'd give them?
Oh, wow. What would be the advice? I would say, I mean, I know this is an easy thing to say, but truly, like, if you have a passion and you're super passionate about it, excuse me, and you believe in yourself, don't allow anyone to ever minimize or diminish what you're trying to accomplish and what your overall goal is. Because even though that partnership may end, your passion and your drive, you will find your way. You will find yourself along the way. Because it took me 5 years to get to the point of just filming a documentary. But there will be so many people along the way that will doubt you, that will probably laugh at you, that will say, hey, you know what you're currently doing is making you money. Why aren't you happy? But if you truly believe in yourself and truly believe in what you're doing, don't allow anyone to take that away from you, and just always keep going and push through that.
Well, I like it. Great piece of advice, and something that our people should certainly take to heart. So, well, as we wrap up, if people want to find out more, they want to be part of the film, they want to be an investor in the film, they want to work with you on it, they want to come on, they want to be your next best friend, any or all of the above, what's the best way to reach out, contact you, or find out more?
Great. Well, two ways you can reach out. There's the website. It's www.janedoefilms.com. That's JAYNEDOEFILMS.com. So www.janedoefilm.com. Or you can email me at daniels.brittany@gmail.com. So that's DANIELS.BRITTNI@gmail.com.
All right. Well, I definitely encourage people to check out the website, reach out to Brittany if you have any questions or you want to help or get involved, and definitely a great resource to connect up with. So, well, thank you again, Brittany, for coming on the podcast. It's been it's been a pleasure. Now, for all of you that are listeners, if you have your own journey to tell and you'd like to be a guest on the podcast, feel free to go to inventiveguest.com and apply to be on the show. Two more things as listeners. One, make sure to click subscribe in your podcast player so you know when all of our awesome episodes come out. And two, leave us a review so everybody else can find out about all of our awesome episodes. And last but not least, if you ever need help with your patents, trademarks, or anything else, just go to strategymeeting.com, and we're always here to help as well. Thank you again for Brittany for coming on, and wish the next leg of your journey even better than the last.
Thank you so much.